Any questions?
Not an issue. So I pressed go, and I'm just gonna let them come in, and we will just move from there. Okay. Hello, beautiful people. How are you doing? I have a lovely volunteer with us today, here to share a success story. So if you guys want to come in, share it to your friends, like it, whatever feels comfortable for you. We are going to have a very quick little dive into this success story. I'm a little bit late, but luckily my volunteer was very gracious with me as I was running home as best as I could. So I am going to actually allow her to begin. I'm going to introduce her. So incredible, and I just had to invite her on live. Where is my green? Oh my gosh, I know. I technically don't have any. Luckily, there's nobody here to pinch me. But I'm going to let her get into it because I know we have a limited time frame anyway. And I'm going to let her, let her speak. So my love, I'm going to kind of refer things over to you, and I'm going to let you begin wherever feels comfortable for you. But of course, we're going to talk about your success and what you did. If you want to tell the people what exactly you ended up manifesting, that may give them a good idea of what this is about. So yeah, you can just begin wherever you'd like.
Okay. So I got some coaching with Persis because originally I wanted an old piece, and I had like a really white knuckle grasp on him on that SP. And let's see. So I really wanted that SP, but I wasn't focused on myself, and I just had I was in a bad place. So it was like, I want to say a few months, I guess. And I was also living in a stressful job and an apartment that I couldn't really afford. And overall, I just wasn't taking care of myself. And that made it really hard to manifest. And I was just in this state of desperation of trying to get fulfillment and happiness from them, and constantly just in the chasing position. And I did purchase some group coaching and some personal coaching. And I wasn't disciplined enough at first because I was just in a really bad state in my life, and it just made it really hard with my mental health to be committed. And I had to prioritize myself by getting myself out of that situation first. So I put myself first, and then I was going to focus on manifesting that previous SP that ended terribly. And so what I did is I moved back with my folks, and I left that really stressful job. My mental health got way better. I'm not as stressed out anymore. I'm working out and eating healthy again. And what I've noticed is that I did things that I didn't do before. I didn't have hobbies of my own. And I started, I like to write. So I got a lot of joy out of going to this coffee shop and just typing on my computer and writing. And I didn't even have the time or the mental capacity to even do that with that stressful situation I was in before. And I had downloaded this app called Tinder, and my purpose with that was I was just gonna meet people and see where it goes. And I kind of had to I did see my old SP there, and it was a little bit triggering. not gonna lie to you, my state wasn't always perfect because it was Tinder. A couple of weeks before I moved back to my folks' house, and we were talking for like 3 weeks, and I wasn't like attached to the outcome, but it was nice that I was talking to someone. And basically we ended up meeting like a week or two after I got settled in. And I didn't think much of him. Like, it's just someone I'm gonna meet. It's gonna be exciting, cool. And we ended up meeting. I was very anxious because I do suffer from anxiety. And so I met this person, and immediately when I met them, I felt like their presence soothed me for some reason. I don't know how that is, because I never had any partner or anything soothe me. It was really unusual. It was different. And this person was honestly, he had the qualities I didn't even know I wanted in an SP. I mean, in a relationship. Because I've previously just dated people that didn't meet all my needs. Before I would just date people that I would try to get them to change. I would tell them, you need to do this, or could you please take me out on dates? Could you please do this? And this person already did all of that and more, which is really surprising because I didn't have any outcome in mind. I didn't have that like, oh, he better be this way. I was just like, I'm just going to meet a cool person. Cool. And it was very cool. Like, we really clicked. He had a completely different background than me, but like we had things in common. His religious background is very similar to the teachings we do with Persis and the law of attraction and all that. So that was very interesting. And I'm also trying to change my diet, and that guy already eats that way. And I thought that was pretty cool. That like, it's like, I don't know, it's like the universe read my mind or something. Like, this person's already meeting me where I want to be at. And we went on a date, we went to dinner, and then we went out on a nature walk. And we took some pictures, and I felt like I met someone that I could see a future with. He was definitely more mature than the other one. He made me realize that I didn't really want my old SP anymore. Like, I feel like I completely got over my old SP, and I was hung up on that previous ex-partner of mine for like, I want to say 6 or 7 months. And it just literally blew out of my mind when I went on a date with this person. Like, he checked off my list and more. It was insane. Like, I didn't see that coming, and I just wasn't forcing it. I was just focusing on myself.
I love that. I also want to take a moment to read your success story because I did pull it up in the group. It says, I manifested a new SP unintentionally that is beyond my wildest dreams. I stopped grasping for the old one as much as I used to and let him go, and just told myself, whatever happens, happens. This new SP makes me feel like he is the one because he had qualities I didn't even know I needed, which I thought was so sweet. I have severe anxiety, and his presence alone calms me down. Never had that reaction to someone. He's everything I didn't know I wanted. He talks about marriage too, and I hope we get married. I don't want the old SP anymore. This one is way better. So how soon into meeting him were like those conversations also even about marriage? Because this is like incredible. Like, I'm so happy for you. This is like really, really stupendous, especially knowing a lot about your, struggles with your mental health and with, your old SP in general. Like, my heart is so full for you to be this level of happy. So I definitely want to know, like, how soon about did that come from that first meeting?
So I have my high school graduation ring, and he asked me if that was a marriage ring. And I told him wasn't. It was my high school ring. And he asked me, when do you plan to get married? And which kind of threw me by surprise because nobody really asks me that, or just in general, you don't hear that. And I told him, well, I guess if it happens, that'd be nice. And if it doesn't, then oh well. And then I turned around and asked him the question, and he said, I'd like to get married in 1 to 2 years. So that's how that question arose.
I love that. I like it. I like it a lot. Do you guys have any questions for her out of curiosity in terms of, what may have happened or what helped her? It definitely seems like, based on what you mentioned right now, you letting go was a huge thing because there was naturally a lot of resistance surrounding the old SP. And I am a big believer, actually, of that. If people let go of their SP, which I know a lot of people wouldn't want to begin with, and it's not to say that everyone has to, you would realize how quickly you could actually manifest a whole new human. I say whole new human because that's just like my funny way of articulating it, because the level of pedestal we sometimes put on individuals is like crazy. It's just really, really insane. So sometimes when we let go and we say whatever happens, happens, that is a very law of attraction-y. But I think the reason that ended up working for her was because this man was on a pedestal for a very long time. As she mentioned, like more than 6 months. 6 months. And she wasn't getting movement. She was dangerously bleeding herself out of this situation by just focusing on him, and not really focusing on her. But let me know, like, what do you feel about that situation? Like, what do you think helped you the most? I also see a question here, like, how were you capable of letting go?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I told myself that it's possible to feel whole and complete without a person, that I could find that fulfillment in my own passions.
Absolutely.
It just happened when I discovered, like, my old hobbies I left behind, like writing, really brought back that joy. I felt like I didn't need anyone.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the times hobbies are a really great one.
Yeah. And I think to answer some of the questions that are down below, the reason why this ended up differently, in case you haven't been here from the very beginning, is the way she let go was she made a decision that I need to focus on myself. I need to get my mental health. Same type of situation as the SP is because she finally made the decision to let go of the SP, at least temporarily, because it wasn't bringing her joy. It was costing her her mental health. She wasn't feeling good. She was getting extreme anxiety, and she wasn't getting anything out of it. So in some instances, it's good to take a little bit of a step back. And then what did she do when she took a step back? She didn't just instantly try to get another person. She also joined a dating app in which she just very open-endedly was open to meeting new people and to just see what happened, as she mentioned, in like this very broad spectrum type of manner. And in that process of doing all those little things one by one, she ended up unintentionally manifesting a new person to come in that fulfilled her on levels that she didn't even realize. Like what she described, for anybody who may have been missing from this chat, or this live a couple minutes ago, she mentioned, and I'm reading the little story, the success story over here, that he makes me feel like he's the one because he had qualities I didn't even know that I needed, and that he brought her peace and joy, and already started to establish boundaries in terms of when he would like to get married. So this is a very, very different result from the version of her that was there a couple of months ago. This is a very, very different version of her. And it took her focusing on herself, removing the SP from the picture, because as it is, like I said, it wasn't bringing her joy, it wasn't bringing her happiness, and it definitely wasn't bringing her peace, and it was destroying her mental health and her anxiety. sometimes it's really good to be able to get a refreshing perspective, because I do believe, although it may be a non-traditional point of view, that what any human wants is just love and to be loved. And a lot of times if we open ourselves up to different avenues, not to say that that may be what some people want, but in this case, she allowed herself to be open to other avenues and it paid off. I bet you a lot of people may also be willing to give up their SB tomorrow. If I was to tell them that there's going to be a man that's above and beyond, or a woman that's above and beyond your wildest dreams, that's going to come and love you the way that you never even knew you needed. Because that's really what humans want. You know what I mean? From a biological standpoint, from, like the whole situation, like all we want is to be able to be loved, to be stood by, to be honored, to be respected. And when we get that, you'd be surprised how many people, similar to my client over here, is open to whoever that looks like. So how do you feel now on a scale of 1 to 10 compared to before?
Probably like an 8 or 9.
I love that. And I definitely know in the beginning, I think you mentioned on our first call, and definitely correct me if I'm wrong, did you mention like a 2? I think it was like a 2, or you may have even said 0. I don't really remember. It was a little while back. What was that?
I think it was 5.
Yeah, it was definitely lower than that for sure, like definitely lower than the 8 or the 9. But the way that you've come up has been incredible. Do you guys have any other questions for her? Anything that you would like to share also as a form of advice to individuals? It seems like things really turned around for you when you started to focus on yourself. And of course, we know that to be like a foolproof way to manifest anything in anyone's lives. But do you have any other pieces of advice for individuals who may be struggling right now with their sense of self-worth or their manifestations in general?
Yeah. So, if like rainbows and butterflies, there's going to be times you're going to feel insecure. Like even now, there's times where I feel insecure, and you have to find a way to soothe yourself. And I noticed that when I feel that way, I kind of have to turn back the focus on myself. Like instead of like going after like BSP, like, oh, make me happy, make me happy. I have to like read and tell myself, like, what can I do to make myself happy? What about that one thing I like to do? Just redirect and soothe myself. That's a really big one for people that suffer from anxious attachment style, because I think that's what plagued me a lot with these SP situations in the past.
Absolutely. And I think that's the most difficult thing for an anxious attachment style to also hear, because what an anxious attachment style, and please correct me if I'm wrong, wants more than anything else is to actually just get the just get the comfort from the other person. And at the end of the day, that's just simply the way that people desire things. And it's nothing wrong with it. But at the end of the day, we have to focus on what's actually going to always end up being there, which is us. We have to be there for us, because when we're there for us, it actually allows another person to be there for them. And it seems very backwards, because what we want more than anything else is just validation from the outside world. But sometimes the best way to soothe anxious attachment is to be able to give it to yourself so someone else can give it to you.
Yeah, because I've come to realize just after trial and error that this SP, they're not like the main source. They're just like the frosting of my life, if that makes any sense, that metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Any other questions from you guys, or any last tips that you'd like to say? I'm also looking in the comment section to see. Do. So the rest of the questions I think are actually pretty open-ended and for other situations. But what I will say in this scenario is I'm really proud of you from a personal client and knowing a lot about your struggle and what has happened. It is absolutely incredible to see how far you've come and where you're going to end up going. So I want you to continue to use this momentum, hopefully to continue to build and build and build and build and build, continue to pour into yourself as always and never lose sight of you, because that's all that I want for you in the future, like happiness in your own life. And I know individuals sometimes when they get that person in front of them, it's very easy for them to go back into old ways. But I know you're not going to go back. I know things are going to be good for you and they're going to continue to go upwards, and more upwards. So I'm really happy that you gave me a little bit of your time today to sit down and talk about this. And I really appreciate it tremendously. I think everyone's questions are pretty much answered as it pertains to your story specifically. So I definitely don't want to keep you any longer than intended. I will definitely let you go, and I just appreciate your time.
All right, thank you. So no more new questions, right?
No.
Okay.
Thank you. I will definitely talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Awesome. All right, so I definitely see some other comments down here in the comment section, but I do want to kind of stay a little bit more focused on the success story that's being, focused on here, and go from there. I do see like some individuals that are a little bit upset or whatever, which I find to be strange and odd, because anybody who's on my page knows that I teach science and I'm not a fan of delusion. So I can't steal or take delusion because I actually suck at it. So that's like the first and foremost situation. I've never manifested a thing in my life with delusion. So and how can one steal delusion? It's not the most groundbreaking thing, but that's okay. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I teach science, but that's all right. And yeah, I'm just going to continue to move on. Do. My personal coaching isn't, no, it's not right now. That's why we trust you and science, exactly. All right, so I don't actually see any other questions right now, so I apologize for this live being so short. I want to continue to focus on the positivity as always, and continue to bring positivity into the world with good thoughts and good deeds and good words and good thinking and good everything. So I implore you guys to do the same and to treat individuals with kindness, you know what I mean? And just understand the stories that come on here, and the volume of them and the quality of them is substantial and they speak for themselves. And I just hope that you guys see that and feel inspired and do good with your lives. Like for me in general, I know I've probably said this 100 million times, but in case it doesn't come off the correct way, which I don't know how it could be seen any other way, all I've ever wanted on every live that I have graciously donated hours and hours and hours and months and so much period of time, like years of my life, towards the law of assumption, is to use my mass amount of knowledge to help people win. And I help people win by bringing and marrying science with spirituality. For me, as I've spoken of many times in my past, I cannot delusionally manifest anything. Zero. Zilch. Nada. I was in delusional manifestation communities for years, and I had nothing but empty hands to show for it. And it is because of that that I went on my own personal, I guess you could say, quest or mission to become a coach, because I was as broke as a $2 bill, didn't have any money to my name, and I had dreams and goals that I wanted to achieve and I wanted to accomplish. And if there was one thing that, with my background, as somebody who has a master's in surgical physician assistant studies, knows that medical minds are overly logical, and telling someone to be delusional or to pretend that something is there that isn't there is really difficult. Hence why I didn't get anything. I didn't get anything out of it. You know what I mean? I didn't. And that's just my honest take. I've always said to people very politely and very kindly that this page has really been devoted as a page for individuals who cannot do delusional manifestation. Because at the end of the day, what I want more than anything else is to see people win, and for manifestation to not just be something that you can be successful with if you're a delusional person, because then what happens to the people that can't be delusional because that's not the way that their mind works? So what? We don't get to benefit from manifestation. We don't get to have a good life. And that's why I always implore people to be kind and caring and considerate for other individuals, because at the end of the day, everyone is a human. Everybody has feelings and emotions, and there's no one that's more invested than myself, in my opinion, maybe in my reality, because as many individuals who have been here for a long time, I give and I give and I give and I give and I give. And the amount of joy that I lead with, and the amount of authenticity and sincerity and kindness and obsession almost with my own work and putting out there the best science-based material, is something that was actually desperately missing from this community. If someone else was doing what I did, there would be no need for me to blow up, because that need would have already been served. It was the fact that that need wasn't served as manifestation for the overthinkers that my page became born and became wildly popular and successful. And what I felt when that happened was a sense of validation that, oh, okay, so I'm not the only non-delusional person. Because for me, I literally felt like maybe I'm just the defective one. Maybe I'm just the one that this just doesn't work for. That was literally what I thought. And when I started to go into quantum physics, and when I started to use my medical background and science background to aid me in reading very dense documents and experiments and all these other different things to grow my knowledge and eventually become my own coach, I would have never thought 8 months back, 9 months back, however long it's been, that if I was to post about science on the internet, that anybody would give two hoots about it. So I'm incredibly grateful and privileged at the amount of love that I've received for my teachings, but I'm very protective and prideful about my teachings, because this is something that wasn't there before. You know what I mean? This is a niche that wasn't filled, and I'm grateful to bring and lend a scientific perspective to manifestation, because as far as I know, unless, certain creators were talking about science 2 years ago, which if they were, it would have completely canceled out my need to do what I did. Need to do to help be a voice of positivity and reason and ground what is typically a very airy subject into something more tangible, because not everybody can be delusional, and that's okay. Like, that is literally okay. And that's literally the only goal I ever had on my page. So the fact that anybody comes and listens and shares and likes and comments means the world to me and my family, because I'm sure, as everybody also knows, I do not get compensated from my time on the internet. So all the relentless hours of obsessively educating myself, coming onto live, answering questions, well, that's very much what I, feel called to do. And I hope you guys definitely see some value in that, and continue to push this out to more and more people. Ignore the hate, definitely spread kindness and joy. Whatever people are saying, everyone here that knows me and has been on my page, knows the situation, knows the truth. I can't teach something that I can't do. So apologies to anybody that thought that I was a delusional manifester. I've spoken very avidly on the fact that I'm not. I'm so sorry. Of your day. I hope you go out there and do good in the world and spread kindness and joy.